I'd like to welcome to the show my very special guest today, top football soccer coach, president of Celtic FC America, and former player, Mr. Brendan Keys. Brendan, how you doing, mate?
How's it going, Joe?
So, Brendan, born and bred in Dublin, Ireland, started your playing career as a schoolboy, at schoolboy level with Ballymun United in the Irish Premier League from 1972 to 1977, and you were a top goal scorer for 3 seasons. Did you always want to play as a striker?
Actually, I started off as a left midfielder, and it was only later on when I was about 14 or 15,
Right.
I wanted to, move up top, and it was more fun scoring goals.
A lot more fun scoring goals. Well, your first season, top goal scorer for 3 seasons. And you also played for Home Farm in Ireland, right?
Yeah, my father was the coach of the team in Ballymun, and I had 2 older brothers, and I was playing up. My oldest brother, Vinton, is 3 years older than me, and Martin's 2 years older. So the old man didn't have time to coach 3 teams, so I was playing up with them big lads.
Right.
And we were playing in a cup game against Home Farm, and the coach of the other team said, "Who's the lad, playing on the..." I was playing on the left wing at the time.
Yep.
My dad said, "That's my son," and he's only, I think it was playing under 12s, and I was 9.
Right.
So that was my first kind of little taste of playing against a top-level team. Even though Ballymun were a competitive club, a good football club.
Yep.
But Home Farm probably are the biggest youth club in Ireland.
Yeah. Liverpool great Ronnie Whelan, he played for Home Farm too.
Yeah. There's
Fellow
a lot of players. Even Archibald when he retired, went over and played with him.
Oh, really? Okay, Stevie Archibald, yeah.
Yeah, Gary Howley, I played with him. He went on and played with, his big claim to fame is he played with Coventry against Manchester United in the FA Cup final.
Oh, wow.
It was a draw. It went to a replay and United battered them, I think it was 4-0. I played with him out for him.
Yeah. Well, after that, you played for Baldoyle United, 1978 to 1981.
Yeah, we moved from Ballymun, Baldoyle it is. Played out there for probably about 4 seasons.
Yeah.
5 seasons. Again, it's kind of similar club to Ballymun United. Wouldn't be at the level of Home Farm, the recognition was, but they played against each other. And I was striker for Baldoyle. I played up top by then all the time, and I was banging in the goals all over the shop.
Who's your all-time favourite Irish players in the game? And there's been many through the years. I mean, I remember so many.
Yeah, well, as a kid growing up, as far as Irish players, Liam Brady.
I was a big fan of Liam Brady.
My favourite player.
I'm a Liverpool fan, obviously, but I used to have my Brady at Arsenal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Brady to me was probably the most technical Irish player ever from the Republic. I mean, from the north, you had George Best.
Obviously, George.
Like Frank Stapleton.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Best was class, different level.
Yeah.
But in the modern game going forward a little bit, Keano, I like Keano, Roy Keane, Robbie Keane, but being a Celtic fan, Jinky, Bobby Lennox, all them guys from that era, and of course from the Celtic 9-in-a-row team, you got 5 or 6 players. Henrik Larsson, I loved. So.
Well, when you talk about Liam Brady, I mean that team when he played in Arsenal in the 70s. You mentioned Frank Stapleton. He was in the team. Pat Jennings, big Pat Jennings in goal for Tottenham and Arsenal. Who else? It was Pat Rice, right? I think Pat Rice. He was Irish. Pat Rice who played for Arsenal. I think he was the Irish player.
Yeah, no, Jennings, Stapleton. Was he at United first and then he went to Arsenal, or was it the other way around?
I think it was the other way around. I think it was the other way around. Yeah, he went to United afterwards. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So 1985, moved to the United States. Tell us about your journey from Dublin to the US and how it happened.
Well, in between that, Joe, I actually stopped over in England for about a year before I came out here. So in '84, I stopped over in England to play and played with a couple of semi-pro teams and tried to get a pro contract. And it's high over there. It's high level, as you know yourself. And it just didn't work out for one reason or another. I was at Leyton Orient for about 3 months. I'm still good friends with Barry Silkman, who's an agent. We talk weekly.
Yeah.
He played with Leyton Orient in Manchester City. Great guy. And then in '85, I came to the States and I came to Houston. and Houston had a team called the Dynamos.
Right.
And Houston was well known for teams coming and going. So I never,
Yeah.
I signed with them, but what happened was after I signed, the team had folded and they went in and played in this semi-pro league. So I didn't bother going along with them. I ended up signing with a team called Houston Eagles, a semi-pro team.
Yeah.
And I played with them for a few years. They were a top-level team, and to me, actually, a better level than the Dynamo.
Yeah.
Is that the same with them all the way?
Is that the same Dynamo that is now? They've come back up again. Is it the same club?
Well, it's a new ownership. They had to get permission, obviously, from the original owner, whose name is Peter Kane. He's still alive. He lives in this area where I live here in the Clear Lake area in Houston, South Houston. I actually ran into him at the gym probably about a year ago. I hadn't seen him in years. He's English lad.
Right.
I want to say he's from Middlesbrough or something like that. But I bumped into him, and he knew going forward, I'd got the Hurricanes, and I actually played with the Hurricanes in USL Pro, and had a good conversation with about him. And I said, "What happened with when the new Dynamo came?" He said, "Yeah, they just gave me a call and asked me if they could use a name." And he said, "Yeah," and that was pretty much it.
That was it, yeah.
So I don't think there's really much connection there with the MLS team to the team back then.
Because I remember about 6 years ago, and you were at the game as well. A few of us went down to Houston when they played LA Galaxy, and Gerrard. We went to see Gerrard because he just left Liverpool for Galaxy, and I remember Owen Coyle was the manager then for the Houston Dynamos. Yeah, I think you were at that game as well. Yeah.
Didn't last very long.
I remember Gerrard didn't do nothing that night. I remember it was so hot. He just moved from Liverpool. It was a July night in Texas. He was in the middle of the park. He wasn't used to that heat, in Texas. So now you're a well-established, highly respected coach. When did you play in Days End? When did you stop playing and go into coaching?
I tore my knee when I think it was about 33, I think I want to say.
Yeah.
And I did go back and play for about 6 months with the Hurricanes in USL Pro.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there anymore, after the knee ACL there.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I'd already did a couple of coaching badges as a player while I was still playing.
Yeah.
To set it up to where when I did retire, then I could go and take the A badge, which I did. But I'd already I took the FAI badge, the A license, years prior to that.
Yeah.
And I did an FA prelim in England prior to that, and a bunch of other coaching badges all around the world.
Because I've seen your resume of all your coaching badges, and it goes on forever. You've done a lot.
Yeah, off the top of my head, Joe, probably I've got about 8 or 10 different coaching badges from all around the world. Some of them are obviously diplomas, but it's coaching education. I always want to get better and be a better coach even now.
When you started coaching, there was not as many expat coaches over in America at that time. It's getting more popular now because it's. I remember talking to Ian Bishop probably about 17 years ago in Florida. You remember Ian Bishop? He was the ex-Man City, ex-West Ham midfielder. He was a scout. He's from Liverpool, yeah. I remember talking to him about 17 years ago. I was in Florida, and he just come over to coach in Miami with his family. So I think it's, now there's a lot coming over and, making a life in America as coaches because the game's it's so much bigger here now than it was way back then, But also, let's give Jerry Campbell mention today. Hail, our Jerry boy.
Hey, Jerry, how's it going? Hail, mate.
Yeah, because you've brought a lot.
My mate, Alan Kelly, as well.
Yeah, Alan Kelly, yeah. You'll have to come back down the bar again soon, boys. I was hurting the next day after that one. It wasn't too long ago. But yeah, Jerry Campbell, for one, you bring Jerry over. And also, let's mention your friend Noel, I saw.
Yeah, Noel is he's in the hospital at the minute with the COVID. He's 83 years old. He coached the Irish national girls team for 7 years.
Yeah.
I actually took my FAI badge with him.
Right.
He was the one who talked me into going over and going back and doing it.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like a second father to me. I love Noel.
Yeah. God bless.
He's going to be okay.
He gets well.
He'll come through it.
Yeah.
And talking about Jerry there for a minute, Joe,
Yeah.
I actually played with Jerry's team, and that's one of the teams I played for in London.
Oh, was you? Yeah. Wow.
He used to give me a hard time. There's some nights I was in the brothers' pub, the night before the game.
Yeah, Jerry's a good guy.
So,
Really good guy, Jerry.
guy.
And he lives in London, right? Yeah. Jerry lives in London. Yeah.
Yeah. He lives in Highbury.
Yeah. But I mean, you've brought coaches over here as well. I mean, and you brought Paul Dalglish over too, right? Yeah.
I sponsored Paul Dalglish.
You were involved, yeah.
Paul Burton.
Yeah.
He played with Celtic, and I brought Gary Doherty over.
Yeah.
Former Quantum player. Gary played with us just, I think, a couple of games, but he was my coach for 6 months, my assistant coach. Right. He wanted to get experience in coaching, and I actually worked on his paperwork to help him get a 5-year visa. He's actually now coaching in Boston. He's got his own academy set up, Boston Spurs Soccer Academy. Wow. So anybody in Boston, if you're listening to this, Gary Doherty, check him out. Good guy, great coach, working with the kids over there.
That's what I mean. You've accomplished so much, like bringing all the people over to the States. You just come over on your own and built it all up. You've done a great job, and also a lot of your players have gone up to their pro contracts. Players that you've coached. I mean, your accomplishments as a coach, to name a few: total of 18 youth, state, regional championships. 11 states and regional championships for both men and women's soccer. 5 titles in the semi-pro national leagues, Texas Premier Soccer League and National Premier Soccer League. Brendan, let's also mention the amount of work and money you raised for charity over the years. You were head fundraiser for the Texas Premier Soccer League from 2010 to 2019. And I know you do so much for the kids as well. Your charity of choice being St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So I'll talk a little bit about that, because the people need to know that you've raised, you're a good guy, and you've raised, a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I first got involved in the St. Jude's thing, and what got me started in it was my son Cameron's little sister, Raimi, got lymphoma when she was 10 years old. And kind of that just opened my eyes, to all of it. And I looked into it further, and after helping her and doing a charity event for her, continue that on. And that was 20 years ago. So, I've been doing it a long time. Anything to do with kids, if I have the time, I'm all in. And as you say, St. Jude's is probably the main charity. But I work with a lot of local organizations here in the Houston and surrounding areas, Galveston County, A-Town, with children's groups, children's schools. Right. A lot of the kids coming in, foreign kids that, don't have much, and they're being held in these schools until they can find somewhere to live. So they're usually only there for temporary for 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. And we come in and we do camps for them, help them out, bring them clothes, bring them equipment, and, just anything we can do to help. So, it's a big part of what we do, what I do, and long may it continue. I have the time to do it. Yeah.
Well, great job you've done for so many years, and not just a one-off. You've done a lot there. Now, you're a huge Celtic man, very passionate about Celtic FC. Yeah, even your new little dog, Jinky, named after Celtic legend Jinky Johnston. Yeah, I've seen him on face. He's a handful, right? Was he 3 months old now?
He is. I got a little Rottweiler there. We've had him just over a month now. He's just over 3 months old. Got him when he was 2 months. And we named him Jinky. And when we were getting him, actually, Joe, we put a little survey up on Facebook. Right. And I listed 5 names, players that I loved. Caesar,
Yeah.
Of course, you had to have Caesar. Okay. Larson. Bobby Lennox, probably my favorite all time. Right. Second player. Jimmy Johnson, Jinky. I can't even remember who was the 5th one. Did you see it?
I didn't see it. No.
Might be in Hearts, and I'm not sure, but it was Jinky. Gwen loved Jinky. My wife Gwen loved the name Jinky, and I did. Even though Bobby Lennox, I wasn't going to call the dog Bobby or Lennox. Jinky sounds great.
It does, yeah. And it's cool for the dog.
He's probably the greatest Celtic player, arguably.
Yeah. I mean, I need to come. I keep saying it's been years. I need to come to your tiki bar. I've seen your bar outside there, your Celtic bar. And I showed you the pictures of my buddy here, Kieran Campbell. He's got a big Celtic bar and a massive Liverpool museum in his house, And
I've seen some of the pictures. It looks class.
Yeah, you'd have to, come and visit that next time you're in San Antonio. We'll arrange something with Kieran, yeah. But so talk us to how you developed and became president of Celtic FC America.
I had to go for Pirates first of all.
Yeah.
In the MPSL. And when the opportunity arose for me to get the Houston Hurricane franchise, I jumped on it, of course. I spoke to Joey Sorrelta, who's a really good friend of mine. He owns the Puerto Rican League, the National League over there.
Yep.
His father was president of Puerto Rico, and he originally owned the Houston Hurricanes in USL Pro. It was called USISL, same thing, USL Pro.
Yep.
And I said to Joey, hey, Joey, I want to play in Houston, and is there any, would you be upset if I use the Houston Hurricane name? He said, if anybody is going to use the name, it's going to be Brendan Keys. Right. So we jumped to Houston. We were the Houston Hurricanes for about 5 or 6 years. And in all honesty, Joe, I hate to say this, but we just wasn't getting the support. Because, you have the Houston Dynamo, the main team here, the MLS team. Yeah. And we, in our height, I think the biggest crowd we got was probably 500 fans at the game. As far as regular games, we got bigger crowds than that when we brought in Monterrey Rayados, the reserve team. I think we had 1,700 fans at that game. Yeah. And when we played the Houston Dynamo reserves, who we beat 2-0, again, about 1,600 or 1,700 fans at that game. Yeah. So I decided I had the Celtic, to answer your question, the Celtic FC America Academy program for years. Right. From 1992, I always had that. And I upset a lot of people in Houston by changing the first team name of the semi-pro team from Houston Hurricanes to Celtic FC America. A load of emails and texts and slammed on Facebook and Twitter for doing it. Yeah. And my answer always was to them guys, hey, you don't get a say in this because you never came out to buy a ticket. And my love for Celtic is the reason why I did it. And I thought, it might be a good marketing tool. It might be a good marketing idea. And it turned out to be, because we sell a lot of jerseys all over the world.
Yeah.
Celtic FC America. It's my own logo. It's my own brand. Yep. I want to make clear everybody knows this, that, I love Celtic, but we don't have an affiliation with Celtic as far as, I'm not using their logo. That's my own logo. However, they've reached out to me, I don't know, over 20 times. Really? And they're all, don't you use their logo? We'll do a big write-up on our website announcing you as an affiliate club in America and da. But the problem is, as much as I love them, they'll take all the money and I'll be working for hardly anything. So I decided it just wasn't the right time. Right then, who knows in the future? You never know, especially with the COVID going on right now and the league being shut down, But that's how it all came about, Joe.
Okay. Well, obviously, talking about the COVID pandemic has affected so many professions, the entertainment and arts industry for sure, and definitely sport. It's who'd have thought we'd have been watching our teams with no fans in the stadium, But what's the current situation with your football club? Well, I was going to say the team hasn't played for about a year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably about 11 months. So, almost coming up on a year now. So we had a couple of start-back dates. And then, the league is sanctioned by U.S. Club Soccer. So it's in their hands as well. They've got a big say in it. And, until they tell us we can play, then we can't. Mm. And a lot of teams, all over the country, I don't know how many it is now, but last I checked, there was over 25, 30 teams, semi-pro teams like myself, who just folded, who couldn't continue. I'm barely hanging in, Joe. That's the situation right now. I want to carry on, of course, but everybody knows the figures in this to run a club. It's not a hidden agenda. Yeah. If you play in the MPSL or the USSL or the TPSL or any of these leagues, national leagues or high-level state leagues, but especially the national leagues, you're looking at minimum of $100,000 to $300,000 a year. Wow. Now, some teams in the MLS have their semi-pro teams in these leagues. For example, New York Red Bulls. Yeah. And them guys are spending $300,000, $350,000 a year on their semi-pro team. When I first started off doing this, playing in the NPSL, the National Premier Soccer League, who for me is the best semi-pro league in the country, in my opinion, without a doubt, bang for your buck as well. Right. I put $350,000 of my own money in. I borrowed money from my brother Paul, lend me some money. Yeah. My wife put money into it, but mainly I put my own money into it, and then every year thereafter, for next year probably 125, and always a minimum of 100,000 a year. Wow. I've got over probably £1.5 million into my team 12 years later, well over that. And so I don't want to throw that all away. However, if the ship is sinking and it's going down, there's no, my wife is like, hey, you got to really think about this. We don't want to keep throwing money at it when you're not allowed to play right now. And then they came out and said, now we might start back up in September, Joe. But the problem is the COVID's still going on. Yeah. The insurance now is completely different than what it was before the COVID. So to give you an example, if I decide I'm going to start back up in September and play, and say we play a game and somebody gets COVID, when they're at the game or something, they can prove they get it. I'm responsible then. One of them players, so I can get sued. The insurance is doubled up now. Yeah. Instead of paying $10,000, you pay $20,000 a year for coverage. That's not coverage for the stadium. That's just coverage for all of the players and the staff. Yeah. So I don't know the answers now, Joe, at the moment. I mean, it's a great question. But please God, we will start back up again maybe in 2022. But right now, I don't know for 100%, to be honest.
It's so sad. I mean, it really is, because I know personally how hard you've worked in game, and you're accredited the game. How long you've been in the States, coming over from Ireland and everything you've done. But yeah, I mean, how can you if that's what you're facing? It's a lot in it, especially it's coming out of your pocket as well. A lot of people don't realise what goes into a football club to run it. As you just said, you just hit some figures there, and it's wow, But you will continue, as a coach for sure, because you're doing your coaching on your one-on-one coach. You still do. You still got your camps and stuff. You're still doing that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a decision that will I just carry on doing that and just let the team go? Yeah. A lot less stress, and you're still involved in the game. Maybe do a youth team or go work for a club. Going working for a club. I mean, it's an option. I get offers all the time. But I don't know if that's me at this stage of the game, Joe. Oh. You know what I mean? I'm 56 now, so I've been doing my own thing for so long. I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, if the right coaching opportunity came along, for like a pro club, even in USL or something or MLS, then I would definitely look at that. But for working for a youth club, probably not.
Okay. But you will continue coaching, because I know you've got Brendan Key's camps going and the one-on-ones, and you coach a lot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, one-on-ones camps. And not only will I do it here locally, Joe, anybody who wants to bring me in for a week camp or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'll go anywhere in the United States.
How can everybody find you on that? If people are listening in and out and they want to, hire you as a coach or book your sessions, what's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, my email is brendan@coachkeys.com, and the website is easy. It's coachkeys.com.
Coach Keys, okay, that's it.
I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and all that.
Yeah, KEYES, coachkeys.com. Talking about being offered jobs, you ever been offered a big job in football? Rumour has it you were offered the Belize national job.
Yeah, Joe, I was. It's funny.
I did hear that, yeah.
So what happened was, when I had the Houston Hurricanes, so it's going back probably 4 or 5 years ago. Right. I got a phone call and was offered to take the Houston Hurricanes to Belize to play against the number one team in Belize, which was the Balapan Bandits. And everybody was basically telling me that they were, I think their team was the national team. There was only, I think, one other player outside, but that starting 11 team for the Bandits was the Belize national team. Right. So I said, yeah, you know what, I'll come over and play them. You know what I mean? Why not? And I went over there, and they were absolutely fantastic to us. Looked after us, took care of the team, nice hotel, food. I mean, really, really professional. And it was amazing because at the beginning of the game, they touched off the ball. And it's funny because the player, that Evan Mariano was his name, he ended up coming and signing with me later. Yeah. Right. And he played on the national team as well. Again, like I said, that whole team was basically their national team. Wow. They touched off the ball, and he hit it back to their player, but he didn't hit it back hard enough. And Carlos Urbega, one of my top players, hit it from 48 yards like a rocket and scored. We took the lead, right? I mean, there was about 6,000-7,000 fans in the stadium, and it was all of a sudden silence. Wow. And it was like, what? You know what I mean? Great start to the game. Yeah. And we ended up losing the game 4-2, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And I think, we picked up a couple of players over there because we didn't have the big numbers. So I made arrangements. We picked up a couple of players over there, to come play to make up the roster. Obviously we work on a skeleton budget. We don't have the big books. I mean, I have to give credit to them guys, though. A lot of lessons learned from them. But anyway, they were so impressed by the coaching, and there was a little rumor that I was going to sit down and talk to the Belize, the politicians, because over there the politicians run the national team.
Okay.
It's kind of strange, So I did a little homework on them before I went over, and I knew there was a good chance I'd get interviewed for the job, but I didn't, I wasn't for sure. And FIFA had kicked them out for a couple of years, for corruption. So, I thought, well, listen, if they do sit down with me, I'll listen to what they have to say. So we had played the game in Balapan, and I was supposed to meet them there, and I thought it's not going to happen because I'm heading back now. But I was going to stay 2 nights in the main city of Belize before I headed back to Houston. And the guy that was doing the deal for me, Jason Luker, and I want to say his last name, great character. He's a goalkeeper in the played indoor pro soccer. And he was the one who set up the whole deal with me, going to get the interview for the job. So Here I am. I'm in the hotel room. I'm in the shower. I get a phone call, and I'm soaping my eyes. I'm on the phone. The man says, "Get your ass down." Sorry, he said, "Get down here real quick." They want to interview you for the national job, for the police national job. Yeah. So of course I hurried up down, and I had a chat with them. And there was 4 gentlemen sitting around the table, all politicians, but they were head of the federation in Belize. That's how it works over there. Right. So we're sitting down having a chat. They're telling me what they want and what they expect of a new coach coming in, and da. And it's interesting, you know what I mean? And I thought really that was going to be the end of the conversation, but I went back. They wanted to hire me. They offered me a 4-year deal. Mm. I asked them, should I say the amount of money or what?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been one of the lowest paid national managers in the world, right? So I only asked for 10 grand a month, right? And they were going to, give me a place to live and a house and all that, and 10 grand a month. Yeah. And so they agreed on all that, and I was going back basically to sign the papers and do the deal, all right? Yeah. And my first 3 games in charge, and this is why I kind of got a little excited. They're playing back in Houston at the big stadium here, the whole 70,000, right? Mm. Honduras, Mexico, and Jamaica. I know. Now, and the guy that we played against, the Bandits, when we lost the game 4-2, he was the head coach that they'd fired him, right? Okay. So you'll see later on the story where I go this, but so I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'm going to do the 4-year deal. I talked to my wife. She said, you know what? Why not? I mean, this is what your dream is. Imagine playing in front of 70,000 people back in your own city in Houston, no less, right? Yeah. So I was really excited about it. And then I went back up to the hotel, supposed to meet them the next day to do all the paperwork, sign the deal. Yeah. And got a phone call saying, we need you to do the first year for 4,000, I believe. Now, don't quote me on that, but I think it was a lot less than what we'd originally agreed upon. And then we'll give you the other 10 grand a month for the second, third, and fourth year. And I said, well, if you allow me to do the coaching education where I can make up the money as the national team coach in the country, I still might be interested in doing it. And so, again, we sat down and we talked again, and it looked like everything was going to work out. And then we met for the final thing. My agent was there, brought in all the paperwork to sign it. And the goalposts got changed again, and then I just walked away from it because...
shame.
Shame. It was good. I mean, it just smelled of, again, the same thing. They got kicked out by FIFA. Now, I don't want to dog Belize because, listen, the people of Belize were fantastic to me. And I still keep in touch with them guys as well. But it just wasn't right. You know what I mean? It just didn't feel right for me to go ahead and do it. They were lowering the amount again for the first year, and they wouldn't give me a guarantee, whether I'd see that second year. So I felt like they were just trying to get me in for that first year, and they'd get rid of me, and they wouldn't have to pay me that decent money, livable money. Because there's no way I'm going to go coach for 3 or 4 grand, no. $3 a month over there when I'm making way more than that. Usually I have my wife beside me, my kids. Yeah. But that was it was a great it was a great time, great experience, and that was the probably highest level job I'd ever been offered.
Well, there's still time. There's still time. You're well established. A lot of people know you. Not just Houston, all over.
Yeah, and I have a guy in India I speak to every now and again, and he wants to try and bring me out there, but I just don't know, Joe. At this stage of the game, I'd like to do it here in the States if I'm going to do it in USL Pro or MLS. I'm definitely good enough to do it.
Oh yeah.
To do it. I have all the credentials. And I've won our Texas Cup 3 years in a row. The last year with Celtic FC America, and the 2 years before that with the Houston Hurricanes, and won the NPSL in our inaugural season with the Galveston Pirates in the first year. That team was incredible. What a great team. I mean, we were beating teams, we were playing big level teams. We were beating the Dynamo all the time, the reserve team, and the under 23 academy side. They beat us, we beat them. But I mean, incredible when you think about I had all these guys coming after a hard day's work and then coming and playing ball against these guys are full-time professionals, so yeah.
Well, any other future plans? Anything in the pipeline? Future plans or projects? You have a bit more time in your hands because of the with the team not playing and stuff.
Always good, right?
I know.
So the latest thing I have going on now, I'm working on at the moment is, and I think it's a great idea. It's never been done in Texas. That we have the Champions League in Europe. Your own boys, Liverpool won it. Was it last year or the year before?
It was 2018. Yeah.
The Champions League, right? So this has been going on now for probably about almost a year, actually. Since the COVID thing started, I'm thinking, what am I going to do if I lose a team? Do I want to go do this again? So as you know, I founded the TPSL, the Texas Premier Soccer League, and I then founded the USSL Pro with two other partners. It was actually my wife, Gwen. USSL was her idea, the name.
Yeah.
I'm no longer involved in all of that. And with the COVID going on, who knows if Celtic FC America will ever come back and play. So in the meantime, what I've been doing behind the scenes is working real hard and trying to start the Texas Champions League. Wow. So having 4 teams from Houston, 4 teams from Dallas, 4 teams from San Antonio, and 4 teams from Boston to start. We want to have 32 teams and even 64 teams down the road. But, to start 16 teams. And we want to try and start it this September. Again, it'll be due to the COVID. We've got the website up. It's Texas Champions Cup and Texas Champions League. It's up, so people can go check it out if they want to. Okay. It's still under construction. We have the 4 teams in San Antonio already confirmed into the thing, and we have the Houston teams, the 4 teams. We're still working on Dallas, and Austin is looking good. We got 2 teams from Austin.
Right.
And the great thing about this is you can come from any league. It doesn't matter if you're in NPSL, USSL, TPSL. We're not going to mess with your league. We're not trying to steal teams from your league. Yeah. We want the best teams to come and play. We're not playing games on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to play games during the week.
Okay.
So, you can, for example, there'll be a commissioner in, say, San Antonio where you are, and it'll be a group of 4 teams. And just like the Champions League, the top 2 teams will go through.
So you're going to start with groups?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
So you would start with you'd start with like group stages. So like you'd have groups.
There'll be 4. I think it's 16 teams, Joe.
Okay.
4 groups of 4. The top 2 going through in each group. And then just to give you an example, it'd be like, say, for example, San Antonio. The top team in San Antonio would go to Austin, play the runner-up team.
Right. Okay.
And the winners in Austin would go to San Antonio and play the second best team. So, and Dallas and Houston, the same thing. So it's in the pipes, it's in the works, it's going to happen.
Sounds interesting, yeah.
Especially for partner and that team.
Especially for Texas, I mean.
What's that?
Yeah, especially for Texas, it sounds really interesting. That'd be fantastic. A Champions League in Texas, and you do knockout stages. Yeah, when it goes to knockout stages, it'll be a home and away leg, just like the Champions League. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Home and away. And Joe, the door is open for these bigger clubs to come into it as well.
Yeah.
Like San Antonio, I have a team down there, right? San Antonio, Austin, Houston Dynamos. We want all them teams to come in. So it gives these little guys, if you will, an opportunity to play the big boys. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the way it's all done in Europe. But we need to start, doing that here in the United States.
That's great. It's a great idea. And I really hope it comes off. Brendan, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for joining us today. and your credit to the game. Best of luck with your new ventures. I hope that Champions League really comes off. I'd love to see that. And, you know, hope to see you soon. Next time you're back in San Antonio, you know where I am. You know, we'll...
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, buddy. Brendan Keys, everybody. Thank you.